Budget-friendly ideas to transform a small corner into a stunning classic garden. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this presentation. Today, I will guide you through a fascinating journey, how to transform even the smallest corner of your home into a stunning, classic garden without spending much money. But more than just simple tips, we will explore the deeper layers of architecture, design philosophy, lifestyle trends, and the future directions that shape how we live with nature. When we talk about gardens, especially in the context of modern homes, it's not just about planting flowers or placing decorative pots. It's about creating a living design element, an extension of the architecture itself. A garden, no matter how small, can be the soul of a house, an oasis that brings balance, serenity, and timeless beauty. Now, before diving into specific design solutions, let's reflect on why small gardens are so important in today's world. In urban areas, space has become a luxury. Apartments, compact houses, and high-density neighborhoods dominate the modern landscape. Large backyards are rare, and many families no longer have the privilege of sprawling lawns or vast gardens. However, what they do have is a corner, a balcony, a narrow strip beside the house, a forgotten section of a patio. And within these small corners lies tremendous potential. The question is not, do I have enough space for a garden? But rather, how can I shape the space I already have into something meaningful? That's where creativity, clever design, and an understanding of architectural principles come into play. Let's start with the word classic. What do we mean by a classic garden? In design, classic doesn't simply mean old-fashioned. It refers to something timeless. Designs that transcend passing fads, rooted in principles of harmony, balance, and proportion. Classic gardens often draw inspiration from European traditions. Think of the geometric layouts of Renaissance courtyards, the symmetry of French gardens, or the elegance of English cottage landscapes. Yet they can also incorporate Asian influences, such as Japanese Zen gardens, which emphasize simplicity and spiritual calm. In a small corner, applying classic principles doesn't mean replicating grand estates on a miniature scale. It means capturing the essence, a sense of order, a touch of refinement, and details that make the space feel curated rather than random. A few well-placed elements can evoke that timeless charm. Let us pause to consider how garden design has evolved in the past century. In the early 20th century, gardens were often separate zones from the house, decorative yet distinct. But in the late 20th century and into the 21st, the boundary between indoor and outdoor began to blur. Modern architecture emphasized large windows, open patios, and integrated landscapes. The garden was no longer an afterthought. It became part of the living environment. Today, this trend is accelerating. Designers and homeowners increasingly seek sustainability, minimalism, and functionality. Gardens are expected to do more than look pretty. They should provide shade, improve air quality, support biodiversity, and even produce food. And here's where small gardens shine. They are manageable, affordable, and adaptable to these new values. A compact garden can incorporate eco-friendly practices such as vertical planting, container gardening, or water-saving irrigation. It can also express individuality, since a small space requires thoughtful, personal choices. Imagine you walk into a home and find a little green corner, perhaps a classic bench surrounded by climbing roses, or a stone urn with ivy trailing over its edges. Immediately, the space feels different. It is intimate, welcoming, and memorable. These corners become conversation starters, places of relaxation, or even spiritual retreats. From a psychological perspective, greenery has proven effects on mental health. Even a small patch of garden reduces stress, boosts mood, and fosters creativity. From an architectural perspective, it adds depth, texture, and color contrast to rigid walls and concrete surfaces. And from an economic perspective, it increases property value. Buyers are often drawn to homes with a touch of natural elegance. And every home has a structure, a rhythm, a language expressed through materials, proportions, and functions. A successful garden design must respect that language. You cannot simply place random pots or decorative pieces. They need to interact with the home's style. For example, a modern minimalist house with clean lines may benefit from a garden corner with structured hedges and monochromatic plants or sleek stone elements. A more traditional home, on the other hand, might harmonize with rustic wooden trellises, wrought iron details, and lush layered greenery. Think of it as choreography. The garden corner dances with the architecture, sometimes echoing its rhythm, sometimes providing contrast. The key is balance, not overpowering, not underwhelming, but in dialogue with the built environment. Of course, one of the most exciting aspects of small garden corners is affordability. Unlike large landscapes that demand expensive maintenance, small gardens thrive on creativity and resourcefulness. You don't need marble fountains or rare plants. You need imagination. Recycled containers, secondhand furniture, and locally sourced plants can create wonders. A classic touch can be achieved with a single vintage lantern, a repurposed terracotta pot, or a handmade wooden bench. Nature itself is generous. The way light falls on a leaf or the sound of wind through bamboo can be as luxurious as any costly ornament. Interestingly, there is a renewed interest in classical aesthetics, but with modern adaptations. For example, sustainable classicism, using traditional symmetry but with drought-resistant plants. Compact elegance, classic stone urns combined with vertical gardens for small balconies. Smart gardens, classic layouts enhanced with subtle technology like automatic watering systems. Hybrid styles blending Western classicism with Eastern minimalism to create truly global gardens. The future of garden design is about coexistence, honoring the timeless while embracing innovation. As cities grow denser, small corners will become even more valuable, and those who know how to turn them into gardens will enjoy beauty, health, and style in equal measure. Now that we have explored the philosophy and evolution of small classic gardens, let us move into the practical side of design. Transforming a forgotten corner into a timeless retreat requires thoughtful planning, attention to detail, and an understanding of how architecture, materials, and natural elements interact. Even with a modest budget, the results can be breathtaking when design principles are carefully applied. The first step is to analyze the available space. Every corner, no matter how small, has its own conditions: sunlight, shade, wind direction, soil type, and proximity to walls or walkways. Observing these factors allows you to make the right choices. For instance, a shaded corner near a wall may be perfect for ferns, hostas, or ivy, while a sunny spot could host roses, lavender, or compact citrus trees in pots. The aim is to respect the environment rather than forcing it to adapt unnaturally. Once the conditions are clear, the second step is to define a focal point. A garden without a focal point feels scattered. This doesn't mean investing in an expensive fountain or statue. Even a single well-chosen object can serve as the anchor of the composition. A vintage bench, a stone urn, a small bird bath, or even a tall potted plant can act as the centerpiece around which everything else revolves. This focal point provides order and a sense of balance, two qualities central to the classic aesthetic. Pathways, even in small corners, also play a crucial role. A narrow stepping stone path, a few brick pavers, or a simple gravel strip can create a journey through the space. Pathways guide the eye, suggest movement, and make the area feel intentional rather than accidental. In classical design, pathways often follow symmetrical lines or subtle curves that invite exploration without overwhelming the viewer. Furniture is another layer of design. While it may seem unnecessary for small gardens, a single chair, a wrought iron bistro set, or a wooden stool can transform a space into a place of living rather than just looking. The furniture should echo the architectural style of the home and the materials of the garden. Rustic homes pair beautifully with reclaimed wood benches, while modern houses may benefit from sleek metal or minimalist stone seating. Plants, of course, are the soul of the garden. Here, layering is essential. Instead of placing a few pots randomly, think in terms of vertical hierarchy. Use taller plants or trellised climbers at the back, medium-height shrubs in the middle, and ground covers or small flowering plants at the front. This layering creates depth, even in a corner that measures only a few square meters. Classic gardens often emphasize symmetry and repetition, so repeating certain plants on both sides of a focal point can create harmony. Climbers and vertical gardens are particularly effective in small spaces. Trellises with roses, jasmine, or clematis can turn a blank wall into a romantic backdrop. Vertical garden panels allow for herbs, succulents, or ferns to grow in tight quarters. Hanging baskets bring greenery into unused airspace. These solutions maximize the potential of small areas and make the space feel lush without crowding the ground. Lighting is a detail often overlooked, yet it is transformative. Soft lighting can highlight focal points, define pathways, and create a magical atmosphere after sunset. Affordable options include solar-powered lanterns, string lights, or LED spotlights. In a classic garden, warm golden light tends to enhance the timeless look, while cooler tones suit more contemporary corners. Water features, even on a small scale, add sound, reflection, and movement. A tabletop fountain, a wall-mounted water spout, or even a simple ceramic bowl with floating flowers can introduce the calming presence of water. The key is proportion. Select something small enough to complement rather than dominate the space. Textures and materials deserve equal attention. The combination of stone, wood, iron, and terracotta creates a sense of authenticity and timelessness. A clay pot may look humble, but paired with climbing ivy, it becomes a symbol of rustic elegance. A wrought iron detail, such as a lantern hook or a plant stand, can introduce curves and patterns that contrast beautifully with organic foliage. Colors also shape mood. While vibrant gardens full of mixed flowers have their charm, classic elegance often comes from restraint. A palette of greens, whites, and soft pastels creates a calming and refined effect. Repeating a limited color scheme makes the garden feel cohesive. Imagine pale roses climbing a trellis, lavender borders, and white hydrangeas in pots. Such restraint whispers luxury more than it shouts decoration. Practicality must never be ignored. Choosing low-maintenance plants suited to the local climate prevents frustration and reduces costs. Hardy perennials, evergreens, or native species thrive with little effort. Herbs such as rosemary, thyme, and mint not only add greenery but also serve culinary purposes. Small fruiting plants like strawberries or dwarf lemon trees add both beauty and productivity. This balance between aesthetics and function is a defining trait of modern classic gardens. Another technique is repurposing materials. Old wooden crates can become planters. Broken ceramic tiles can be assembled into mosaic stepping stones. Leftover bricks can form a raised bed. Recycling not only saves money, but also adds character. Each repurposed item tells a story, giving the garden a lived-in charm that feels authentic rather than staged. Symmetry, proportion, and balance remain guiding principles. Even if the space is irregular, clever arrangement can create visual harmony. Place 2 identical pots on either side of a bench, or balance a tall plant with a grouping of smaller ones. Classic design loves order, but in small gardens, a touch of asymmetry can add surprise. A perfectly symmetrical frame with one element slightly shifted creates dynamism without breaking harmony. Sound and scent are subtler layers. Rustling bamboo, aromatic lavender, or night-blooming jasmine can transform a corner into an immersive sensory retreat. These intangible qualities often linger longer in memory than visual details. A guest might not remember the exact color of your flowers, but they will remember the soothing fragrance of herbs or the calming sound of trickling water. Sustainability is increasingly important. Small gardens are ideal places to experiment with eco-friendly practices. Rainwater can be collected in barrels to water plants. Compost bins can turn kitchen waste into fertilizer. Reusable planters reduce reliance on plastics. Even in a corner garden, these small efforts contribute to a larger culture of environmental responsibility. Trends are moving toward hybrid styles that combine the timeless appeal of classical design with contemporary needs. Imagine a classic trellis with climbing roses paired with a sleek, modern bench, or a traditional stone urn housing a collection of drought-tolerant succulents. These hybrids allow personal expression while respecting the essence of classical order. Technology also enters the picture in subtle ways. Smart irrigation systems, moisture sensors, and solar-powered lighting allow gardens to be maintained with minimal effort. The beauty of small spaces is that technology can be integrated discreetly, enhancing rather than overpowering the natural charm. Finally, personalization completes the garden. A corner becomes meaningful when it reflects its owner. A collection of vintage teacups repurposed as planters, a handmade wind chime, or even a family heirloom displayed among the plants. These personal touches elevate a design from generic to unforgettable. In the end, designing a small classic garden corner is not about following rigid rules, but about balancing timeless principles with personal taste. It is about creating a space where architecture, nature, and individuality meet. And when done well, even the humblest corner can radiate elegance, serenity, and charm. As we move into the vision of what lies ahead for garden design, it is important to recognize that the role of small classic gardens is no longer confined to mere decoration. They are becoming cultural symbols, architectural statements, and even solutions to global challenges. The garden corner of the future will reflect not only personal taste, but also a conscious response to trends in sustainability, technology, and lifestyle. One of the strongest trends shaping gardens today is the concept of biophilic design. This principle suggests that humans have an innate need to connect with nature, and that environments designed with natural elements foster well-being. In architecture, this translates into homes that blur the boundary between indoors and outdoors. In garden corners, it means emphasizing natural textures, organic shapes, and living systems that enrich daily life. A corner filled with greenery is no longer just a hobby, it becomes an essential design component for healthier living. Future gardens will also embrace multifunctionality. A single corner may serve as a visual retreat, a culinary source, and a sustainable ecosystem at the same time. Imagine a small space with climbing roses for beauty, vertical herb gardens for cooking, and a bird-friendly fountain that supports biodiversity. This layering of purposes aligns with modern lifestyles where efficiency and versatility are highly valued. Technology, though subtle, will play an increasingly important role. Automated irrigation systems will ensure that even busy homeowners can maintain lush greenery with minimal effort. Solar-powered lighting will enhance ambience while reducing energy costs. Sensors will monitor soil moisture, humidity, and sunlight, offering data-driven care for plants. Yet, the classic garden aesthetic will remain intact, as technology will be designed to blend seamlessly with traditional elements. Another growing movement is toward edible landscapes. People are realizing that their garden corners can provide more than visual delight. They can also feed families. Compact fruit trees, potted vegetables, and culinary herbs are becoming staples of urban gardens. The classic beauty of a terracotta pot filled with thyme or basil is not only aesthetic but functional. The elegance of a lemon tree in a corner reflects both timeless charm and contemporary sustainability. Climate change is pushing designers to rethink plant selection. Gardens of the future will favor resilient species that can withstand extreme heat, irregular rainfall, and fluctuating seasons. Drought-resistant plants like lavender, rosemary, or succulents fit beautifully within classic layouts while addressing modern environmental realities. Rain gardens, designed to capture and filter stormwater, may become common features even in small spaces, merging ecology with aesthetics. The emotional dimension of gardens will also grow in importance. As urban life becomes faster and more stressful, people will look to their garden corners as sanctuaries for meditation, reading, or quiet reflection. The design will shift toward creating atmospheres, spaces where scent, sound, and touch combine to heal and inspire. A simple wooden chair beneath climbing jasmine may offer more peace than the most elaborate modern entertainment system. Community is another layer worth considering. In dense cities, individuals may not always have private outdoor spaces, but shared garden corners in apartment complexes or co-housing projects are becoming popular. These shared spaces, often designed with classical symmetry and accessible layouts, provide a sense of connection and belonging. A single well-tended garden corner can become a meeting point, a source of pride, and a cultural hub for neighbors. From a stylistic perspective, classic design will continue to evolve, blending with contemporary minimalism and global influences. European symmetry may merge with Japanese restraint, or Mediterranean stonework may meet Scandinavian simplicity. These hybrid aesthetics reflect the interconnected world we live in, where cultural exchange shapes not only fashion and art, but also landscapes. Personalization will become more sophisticated. Homeowners will use gardens to express identity and tell stories, and tell stories. A corner might feature heirloom plants passed down through generations, or modern sculptures paired with antique pots. Digital platforms already allow people to share their garden designs with global communities, inspiring creativity across borders. This exchange of ideas will make future classic gardens diverse yet unified in their pursuit of beauty. Economic factors also play a role. As real estate prices rise, small outdoor spaces become more precious, and buyers increasingly see them as investments. A well-designed garden corner can elevate a property's value far beyond its cost. Architects and developers are beginning to integrate small garden concepts directly into building plans, recognizing their market appeal. What was once an afterthought is now a selling point. Education about nature and sustainability will further shape how garden corners are used. Parents are turning small gardens into classrooms where children learn about plants, ecosystems, and responsibility. Schools, too, are incorporating green corners into their grounds, teaching future generations the importance of harmony between architecture and nature. In this way, the classic garden becomes not just a lifestyle choice, but a cultural legacy. Looking further ahead, the integration of gardens into smart cities may redefine how we think of space. Rooftop gardens, balcony planters, and vertical forests are already being tested in major cities worldwide. Small garden corners in individual homes will connect to larger urban ecosystems, creating green networks that combat heat islands, filter air, and restore biodiversity. Each personal garden, no matter how small, contributes to a collective impact. The timeless appeal of classic design ensures that these gardens will never lose relevance. While trends come and go, the principles of symmetry, proportion, and balance remain eternal. What changes is how these principles are applied in response to new challenges and opportunities. A garden corner designed today may look different from one a century ago, but it will carry the same essence: harmony between the built world and the natural one. In the end, the beauty of a small classic garden lies in its paradox. It is both humble and grand, simple and sophisticated, timeless and adaptable. It teaches us that luxury does not always come from scale or cost, but from thoughtfulness, creativity, and respect for nature. A single corner can capture the spirit of an entire philosophy of living, one that values balance, sustainability, and elegance. So the future of garden design is not about chasing extravagance or following fleeting fashions. It is about rediscovering the power of small spaces, honoring classical traditions, and embracing modern innovations with wisdom. Whether on a balcony, beside a doorway, or in a quiet courtyard, the classic garden corner will continue to thrive as a symbol of beauty, resilience, and human connection to nature.